Sefer haMidot, the Book of Character, aka the Book of Attributes, aka the Alef-Bet Book, abbreviations, O.M., of blessed memory, T.N., translator's note, Nissim Nanach, first introduction. In this book are explained all the traits and conduct arranged in Alef-Bet alphabetical order. It is divided in two parts that are known to us by the names Alef-Bet Old and Alef-Bet New. The first part is a wondrous collection, collected by our pure and holy Master in his childhood, all that his huge intellect perceived by understanding one matter from another. And he gathered from all the holy books everything that he found in them pertaining to morals, conduct, and upright behavior, which he recorded to have by him for memory's sake. Whatever he found explained in the words of our sages of blessed memory. Whatever virtue of a good trait, or decrying bad trait, everything in entirety he would gather little by little and copy them by him in the order of the Alef-Bet by each and every trait, so that he should have it for remembrance, to see with his eyes the virtue of each and every trait and its opposite, in order to go in the ways of the good and guard the ways of the Tzaddikim. 1. Moreover, his powerful intellect perceived many precious and wondrous matters which are not explained outright in the words of our sages O.M. Just by the sheer magnitude of his perception he understood one matter from another, Hyven Davar Mitok Davar, and perceived precious novelties regarding the traits, from within the scriptural verses and from within the words of our sages O.M. that are not explained outright in their words except hinted to. Remez, for such an intelligent as he, all of it he gathered and assembled together in the order of the Alef-Bet. And in the course of time there was found by him a complete compilation on all the traits. And he instructed to copy all of it, and from his mouth he read to me, and I transcribed in the book, according to Jer. 36-18, in order that this book should not desist from our mouths. Josh 1-8, to speak, think, it always, in order that we cease from bad traits. For everyone, when he sees arranged the utter derision of a bad trait and the great loss it causes, and the dreadful violation that is realized through it, he will have compassion on his soul, and he will gird his loins to stand up against it, and he will beseech from he to whom mercy is his, to escape with his soul from the abyss, to save him from those bad traits or bad desires or similar ones. And so in the converse regarding good traits. Furthermore, Prov. 16:20, one who considers the matter to weigh his ways Rashi will find good, true advice how to guard against a bad trait by guarding against the trait that is close to it, for they are neighbors, and each one protects the other. As this is explained subsequently in the introduction that I heard from his holy mouth. The importance of this book, there is no need to explain to anyone honest, who desires truth, and longs with cherishing to grasp the ways of propriety. Certainly he will find in it a repose for his soul. Fortunate is he who takes hold of it, then it will be good for him in this world, and in the coming world, because this entire book is founded on verses of the Bible, Torah, prophets, scriptures, and on the words of our sages O.M., all of them cogent to the understanding and straight, for those who have found cognizance. Proverbs chapter 8 verse 9. The second part is also similar to the first part. In form and arrangement, there is no marked difference between them, for it is also an elucidation of the virtue of good traits and the derision of bad traits in the like. Nevertheless, there is a difference between them. For the items elucidated in the first part, on each and every trait, they are matters which are elucidated in the holy books, explicitly or at least in allusion, so that someone who puts his heart to understand the matter, and who wants to study in depth to understand one matter from another, can understand and comprehend from where the Rav extracted this item. From which verse or from which teaching of our sages Ob-M? 4. All the matters elucidated in the Alef-Bet of old are not remote and not distant. Based on Deuteronomy chapter 30 verse 11. From the one studying them, to come to its property. To understand and comprehend from where the items accuses, albeit, without the Ra, who illuminated our eyes with these matters, it would not have occurred to the reader to extract these matters from within the holy books. However, after he already opened our eyes to these matters, it is possible for the enlightened reader, whose heart is complete with the holy books, with the Tanakh, acronym for Bible, Prophets, Scriptures, 24 books in all, and with the haMidot, lore, of our sages Ob-M, and with the other commentaries, to understand and comprehend the relevant sources. In contrast to this, the issues elucidated in the second part are lofty and awesome conceptions perceived by the author. Ob-M, when he was an adult, all of these matters transcend human comprehension and are hidden from all eyes. For each and every item there is an extremely wondrous and awesome tom, reason, taste, secret, and it is supported by some verse or teaching of our sages Ob-M through a very wondrous and fabulous allusion, in his wondrous style, as the reader will see for himself. For there are many items elucidated here without presentation of any reason or proof, but inside his great book of discourses, Likutei Moharan, the gathering of our maestro and teacher Rabbi Nachman, there is explained a complete matter and a wondrous and awesome exposition on this item at great length, and this you will find in many places. So he infers the hidden from that which is explicit, for also in the places where he did not explain the matter explicitly, there too his masterful hand had attained a complete perception of it. Just, for some reason known to him, he did not want to explain the whole matter. For all of these words, they are all supernal things, spanning from a holy place, from an utterly deep place, and they do not contain a single thing that should not have a wondrous and awesome exposition. Onto what were its bases sunk. Quote, Job 38-6. The reason for the matter, its characteristics, and a very hidden, deep, and wondrous support from within the written Torah or oral Torah. It is not for us prolong the praise of these things, for whoever adds detracts. For it is not hidden from our eyes the lowliness of our work, and the greatness of our Master the Holy Ra, the supernal lamp Ob-M, and the enormity of his hiddenness and concealment from the eyes of the world. People, this being the case, we must restrain our mouths, to be silent and not to mention, not to relate the magnitude of his holy praise, not a matter nor half a matter, and the enlightened will be silent now. Almighty G.D. Hashem, he knows and Israel will know. Based on Joshua chapter 22 verse 22, fortunate is he that waits and reaches the days that have what to aspire to. At the time when the glory of Israel will rise, truth from the earth will rise. Peace, 85-12, a language of truth will be established forever. Prov, 12:19. It does not say was established, but will be established. Tikkunei Zohar 63, pg. 95a. The medication for the matter, silence. Everyone, according to the fathoms of his heart, will understand and comprehend the extent to where these matters reach. Still, we come with these words to arouse the hearts of the readers, to make known to them the nature of the book and its affairs. It is incumbent upon us to make known and reveal to the ears of our peers the Hasidim of Breslov, that our honorable master, the hidden light, of holy and blessed memory, warns strongly to engage in this book, and that it should not cease from our mouths, for it is our life. He himself wrote it in a very small volume and said that his intent was to enable each and every one to carry it with him always. because the traits are the foundation of the entire Torah, and with this a youth, or someone of that standing, will make his ways meritorious to heed everything that is written in this book. Then he will bring success to his ways, and then he will be enlightened. For this is the main task of a person, all the days of his life, to flee from vice and bad desires, and to cling to virtue and upright conduct, that are elucidated in this book. Fortunate is the person who listens to these words, to fulfill all that is written herein. He will never slip, based on Psalms 112-6, and his righteousness will answer for him in the time to come. Based on Bereshit 30-33, when he comes to receive his reward, in the measure that a person meets out, so, in that same measure, is he met with. Fortunate is one who chooses life. Hashem will repay his endeavors. If it is to scoffers he will scoff. Proverbs chapter 3 verse 34. He will not gain wealth and his wealth will not endure. Job chapter 15 verse 29. Woe to his soul, for the retribution of his handiwork will be done to him. Isaiah chapter 3 verse 11. It will not be cast to the ground, but on their heads. Job chapter 15 verse 29. One who is good before GD will escape from it. Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verse 26. How great is the goodness hidden away for him. Based on Psalms 31-20. In his joy no stranger will take part. Proverbs chapter 14 verse 10. A laboring soul benefits from its labor. Proverbs chapter 16 verse 26. See also Tractate Sanhedrin 99b. He works here and his Torah works for him elsewhere. Let us pour out our souls to Hashem to put our portion with him. To stand at the threshold of his shade. They will have no regrets, those who put their trust in him. Psalms end of chapter 34. No eye has seen their reward, except for you GD. What he will do for those who put their hope in him. Isaiah chapter 64 verse 3. The words of the transcriber, whom is reduced to sighing and is crushed by the departure of the splendor of our heads, the majesty of our strength, the cherishing of our eyes. What can we say? May GD, lit, the place, for GD is the place of the world and not vice versa. Comfort is very soon. The little one, Nissim, son of my master my father our teacher Rav Naphtali Hertz, may his candle shine. From the greater Nemerit, son-in-law of the Rav, the genius, the famous, the Zadok, our teacher Rav Dovid Spiob, and chief of the court of the congregation of Mulov. Second introduction. Now behold, this holy book had already been published once, and since it is cherished there was high demand, and there is not even one copy remaining. For many are the people who desire this book, that in such a compact volume includes all the traits as many other matters, and much advice to reach straight paths in serving the Creator. There is nothing in the world that you are deficient in, that this book does not address, as the reader will see with his own eyes. It is all founded on mountains of holiness, verses from the Bible, prophets, and scriptures, and the words of our sages. May their memory be for blessing. In the Talmud, the Midrashim, the Zohar and the other holy books. Thus we decided to print the book a second time, with many emendations and wondrous new additions. This is to make known that this book I transcribed letter by letter from his holy mouth. For by Emuna, he had written on small pages all these things and more, possibly even twice as much. But because he did not desire to give over all of his words, which he had by him, written in a fashion similar to this, therefore he did not want to hand over his manuscript to me the way it was, to copy it. Rather, he attended to this personally, his honorable self. He read before me with his holy mouth, word for word, from within his writings, mentioned above. From his mouth he dictated to me, and I wrote in the book. It was heard from his mouth, that he said, that on the entry, lit, letter, of healing alone. He had many pages written. It seems that he said 200 pages. But he did not want to give them over to the world. Also, I heard from his holy mouth that he told over before me, a long time before he gave over to me this Alef-Bet book to transcribe, that he had by him certain writings on all the traits and other matters, and they are the words of this book. He then continued and told me that he had perceived all the healings in the world, encoded within the divisions of the land of Israel described in the book of Joshua. For the names of all the cities which are written there along the dividing lines of the country are permutations of the names of all the medications in the world, how they are called in all the languages. For the land of Israel is a complete spiritual structure, and the apportionment of the land of Israel is according to the structure of man, i.e. that this section and border is the aspect of the head, and this section and border is the aspect of the right hand. And similarly all the 12 borders of the land of Israel, which was apportioned to the tribes, all of them are according to the arrangement of the parts of the human structure. As this concept is brought down in the holy books, he, Rabbi Nachman, said that by every border of the land of Israel, there is written there the medical treatment necessary for that limb, which corresponds to this border. As explained above, all of this I already heard from his holy mouth, and I understood from his holy words that he attained all these understandings in his very childhood. But we did not merit to receive from him only what is written in this book, that which he looked and saw and weighed the matters with his holy intelligence. What should be given over to the world, which is the material he gave over to be copied as mentioned above, and what was necessary to hide from the world, that he deemed to have burned, as is described elsewhere. Now behold, by him there was written all these matters that are in this book with citations to the places from which he extrapolated these perceptions. However, when I copied them down from the dictation of his holy mouth, he gave me only to copy these things as they are, and he did not say where the sources were, but from the inference of his holy words, I understood that any man can find some sort of source or allusion for these items, from where they effuse, from which verse or adage of our sages some of them are explicit adages in the words of our sages as the reader can see with his eyes. Several people have already toiled on many matters from this book and found where they are alluded to. Now, as we work on printing it a second time, I was moved in spirit not to copy from these allusions and sources, not a full matter nor half a matter, for many reasons, and also because we still did not do justice to find allusions to all the matters. Therefore mind was set not to present any of them. However, afterwards I reconsidered, for just because one cannot complete a mitzvah etc., does that mean he should not do it at all? Everything that is in one's power to do, one should do. Therefore I decided to present several sources for parts of the work that I or my peers had already found an allusion as a source, where there is a hint to the matter at hand in the Torah, written or oral, and a meager few that I heard from his holy mouth, personally, as will be elucidated in its place. For there are many things that are written here in brevity, and in reality he revealed on those matters a lengthy Torah discourse, with wondrous and awesome explanation, in his extremely wondrous style. One who looks with truth will understand on his own, that after all this, even in the cases where we found the hint, it is just that, a hint and a support, but the actual substance of the issue, in the way he perceived it, is hidden from our eyes. For all his words are the words of the living GD, that he attained perception of each and every matter in the place that he perceived. And the verse is just an extraneous support, for there is nothing that isn't hinted to in the Torah. Therefore if he did not draw up the shards and remove the mask of blindness which hovers over our eyes, and reveal to us these perceptions, we would not find the jewel, because it is not in our power to adjudicate and learn out by ourselves such things from verses and words of our sages. Only someone who merits to really sanctify himself until he merits to attain perception from above is capable of such, and he who is wise will understand all of this on his own. Also, I revised the format for these holy teachings. For the first Alef-Bet book was published not in my presence, and the printer messed up, because he printed the second Alef-Bet by itself and put it completely separate from the first one. This is not the way I would have it done, for even thought they are different in many ways as explained above. Even still they should not be distanced one from another, since the both of them are good, and both address the nature of the traits, their virtues and their faults, etc. Certainly it is fitting to present together all the material relating to one trait, such as the letter Aleph, emes, truth. It is proper and appropriate to compile together the material relating to the virtue of honesty and the derision of falsehood, even though the perceptions of the second Alef-Bet very vastly surpass and surmount those of the first. As mentioned above, even still their inner intent are be aimed at the same thing, to reveal the derision of falsehood and the virtue of honesty in order that we strengthen ourselves with all our might not to speak dishonestly, just the truth in the name of GD. It was for this that he revealed to us all the advantages achieved through honesty, and the converse, all the losses which come about through falsehood, and in what way one merits to truth, and so forth. So it is with these matters, if their sources, where they were carved from, the places from which they effuse, are different one from another. For higher and higher is the guard, etc. Ecclesiastes chapter 5 verse 7. Even still they are all returned to one place, so that we should merit to truth. Therefore, I decided to present everything in order, so that everything together would be complete in one arrangement according to the alphabet. I drew a line between the items of the first Alef-Bet and the perceptions of the second Alef-Bet, and I presented the second Alef-Bet in small letters, in order for the reader to know to differentiate between it and the first Alef-Bet. For I have already disclosed that I heard from his holy mouth that his later words, those of the second Alef-Bet, greatly and vastly surpass and surmount the first ones. Therefore I put a border between them, to differentiate and to distinguish. The good road should lead us in the straight and true path, so that we may merit to learn and teach, observe, do and fulfill all these words written here, and to understand and comprehend all the paths of advice elucidated here next to each trait. Then we will have success in our way, and then we will be enlightened. It should also be noted that many items of the second Alef-Bet are found repeated. The reason for this is, for know, brother, that the second book our master gave over to us in his holy handwriting, and by him the material was not written in alphabetical order, just in order of the perceptions, according to what he perceived each and every item in its place and time. But he instructed us to copy the material and arrange them, each and every item, according to the trait associated to it, in alphabetical order. He also charged us, explicitly, that everything that is relevant to 2 or 3 entries, that we should write them 2 or 3 times, once, by every applicable trait, and so we did. For example, in the letter limud, learning, book 2, item number 4, someone whose Torah learning, etc., that his eating, etc., through this his enemies are judged, etc. This item is pertinent to the entry, limud learning, and also related to mariva, conflict, and also relevant to letter aleph, achila, eating. Therefore it is written in all these places. From this learn out to the rest, for his holy intention was to facilitate for the reader who desires to sanctify himself, to find what he seeks with ease, so that if he wants to know the segula, what is auspicious for, and the idea of any trait, he will be able to find with ease. According to the alphabetical arrangement, any matter that comes to his mind, as in the example above. Sometimes a person wants to search to find a concept of learning, and sometimes he wants to find from a concept of holy eating, etc. Therefore it is worthy that it should be written in both places in order that he be able to find what he is looking for with ease, in the place that he is interested in, and so forth with the other traits. For this reason the items are repeated in many places. The blessed GD should lead us in the truthful path. And just as we merited to arrange them, so we should merit to fulfill them, until Israel returns to their habitat like doves to their windows, very soon, in our days. Amen. So should be the divine will. T.N. There is a printing of this book with citations provided by Rabbi Nachman of Cherin. In his introduction there is something that I find awesome, and therefore I will include it here. Sometimes I knew with certainty that this article has a source from a different verse or passage of the Talmud, which over there the matter is presented almost explicitly. Even still I wrote and cited the place which is only in the way of allusion, because it seemed to me that this was what he, Rabbi Nachman, Ob-M, had in mind, and this is something that is learned from its context, that is, from the articles that are listed before it and after it. The story of the story that brought about the revelation of Sefer haMidot, the book of traits. The words of the transcriber. I heard how it was brought about that we merited, in his great mercy, that this holy book was given over to us, the book of traits from our master Ob-M. For the merit was brought about through a worthy person, our Dav Chayel Ob-M. He was verily a worthy person, taking into account what I heard of how he drew close to our master Ob-M with real self-sacrifice. Because the aforementioned Rav was serving for a long time at the crown of the rabbinate in the city of Ladizhin in Russia. At this time he already was close to our master Ob-M, and suddenly his heart fired up passionately to leave the office of the rabbinate and to pitch his tent in the tent of Torah of our master Ob-M in Breslov. Immediately he went into action, and he made an announcement in the synagogue of his city that he is resigning from the rabbinate, and is making his way, with his entire household, to the city of Breslov, where the tabernacle of our honorable master Ob-M is located. There he found peace for his soul, in that he merited seeing our master Ob-M every day. Also his practice every day was to go to our master Ob-M and relate before him stories and Torah novelty that are found in holy books from early sages. Sometimes our master would raise his holy hand and would pronounce over a certain Torah novelty that he heard from the aforementioned Rav, that it was truthfully divine inspiration, and this was refreshing for the aforementioned Rav's soul to know which words of Torah were divine inspiration. Our master had his own intentions with this, as was his holy way. So one time the aforementioned Rav Dov related before our master Ob-M a story about a certain Rosh Yeshiva, dean of a school of Torah, that married off his daughter to a boy from the yeshiva who was a big intellectual, Lamdan, and engaged day and night in Torah. At night he would learn in the study hall, and a Maggid, angel who reveals things, especially Torah concepts, from heaven began to visit him and would learn with him every night. However, this Maggid was from the other side, evil, and not from holiness, for probably he failed in some way. T.N. i.e. the son-in-law probably transgressed the Torah in some way, however slight, through which the other side had the power to grasp him. The average young married Torah scholar did not reveal this to anyone, and he himself did not know that the Maggid was from the other side. Once, the aforementioned Maggid started enticing him to have relations with his wife during her menstruation. Nida, he, the Maggid, proved to him, the scholar, this was desired from heaven, and that through this his wife would be impregnated with the soul of the Messiah. The average believed him, and he, the average, began to speak with his wife that she should concede to him in this. And he told her that a Maggid from heaven had come to him and commanded him to do so, for it was so desired from heaven. His wife, however, was very GD-fearing, and she said to him that first she would ask her father. And that is what she did. She told this over to her father, and her father was very confounded by this, because he understood immediately that the Maggid was from the other side. He, the father, immediately called for his son-in-law, and he, the father, told him, "Know that this Maggid is from the other side, and the sign is, that by a Maggid of holiness all the letters of the Alef-Bet are inscribed on his forehead, and the letters of the Tetragrammaton, YHVH blessed he, shine on his forehead, but by a Maggid of the other side, all the letters of the Alef-Bet are also inscribed on his forehead. However, the letters of the Tetragrammaton do not shine. So when the Maggid comes to you and you see that the letters of the Tetragrammaton blessed he do not shine on his forehead, know that he is from the other side, and be very careful to protect yourself from him. Certainly he, the Maggid, will want to harm you. Therefore I am giving to you names and charms, kameas, and then, with these, he will be unable to harm you." It was at night. The Maggid came to him, and the average, when he saw that the letters of the Tetragrammaton blessed he were not shining, he knew that he, the Maggid, was from the other side, and he did as his father-in-law had instructed and was saved from him. Our master, teacher, and Rebbe, may the memory of the Tzaddik be a blessing, when he heard this story, he was very fired up, and he said to the aforementioned Rabbi Rav Da, "But by his thank GD all the letters of the Alef-Bet shine." And immediately he gave over to his followers to copy his book of the Alef-Bet.